Hello and welcome to the Dutchin channel. It's Wednesday the 17th of April 2024 and it's approaching 11:30 in the evening. I'm a little bit late because I wanted to try and finish tomorrow morning's sheet for tomorrow afternoon selections, which I've finally done. So we're going to go through today's racing, which was Cheltenham, Kempton and Newmarket. I didn't do especially well, but I didn't do too badly. But I think when I start looking back at this last 7 days, I'm getting a bit too cautious. I don't really want to lose any more than I'm on. Yes, all right, I've lost another point today. So it's just I'm getting a little bit worried in certain places because none of us want to end up with nothing. So let's go back into today, and the first thing I'll show you is that I've only done £300 in stakes, 246.49 returns, and I lost £53.51. But I just want to really go over the last week that we've done here. I only staked £200 yesterday because I stopped because I had 4 straight winners. Well, I actually had nearly 7 straight winners, but I stopped after 4. So we made a nice little profit of £200 yesterday. But then the day before that, I'd staked 700, and my stakes seem to be getting less and less if we look. And then going back to the start of 7 days ago, I decided I was going to do the value bets, and I think I've done too many changes in a week. Let me know if you think I'm doing that wrong as well. The only good thing I can see in the last 7 days is that we have made a £226 profit, as opposed to, well, possibly a loss. I don't really know because I haven't gone back and double checked it yet, but I will do. But as long as my losses are not outweighing what we're winning, then I don't have a massive problem. You know, if I've lost £53, £98, £56, those ones there I don't mind losing. But when it jumps like to this 146, again, that's about the maximum I want to lose. I've got a 369, and we remember at the start of the month the 199 and the 293. So I'm just thinking to myself, like yesterday, where I go, right, I've got 4 winners above. Do I stop there and take the £200? And do I go to a maximum of 3 losses and then I wipe that day off? It's hard to say what to do at the moment because it's nice. I enjoy betting in 30 races a day, but are we going to make a profit in backing in 30 races a day? I don't really. But if we go back to this first day of the month there, the highest what I laid out was 1,700 quid. And we made a loss, of course. That's not why I've picked it out. I'm just trying to look at it and think to myself, £1,700, is that what we really want to lay out on a daily basis and keep going up and down, up and down, up and down? Whereas something like yesterday, and I think the only reason why I cashed out and stopped yesterday is because I nearly had a 2-hour wait for the next race, and that's when I was starting thinking about it. So what do I do on a day like today? Well, I've done something completely different again. I thought to myself, I'm going to stop when I get a winner. Well, not necessarily when I get a winner, but when I get in front. So if we look at Cheltenham today, I got in front after the first race. So I had the first winner there. So then I said to myself, right, let's stop. Let's stop at Cheltenham, because if you think about it, if you end up 50 up at Cheltenham, 50 up at Newmarket and 50 up at Kempton, that's all I need. I just need them 3 days to get 150 profit. So what I'm trying to explain is, let's say that first race at Cheltenham had lost, I would carry on, right? And then I would carry on until I get a winner. But if I got a winner and I was still 50 down, I would carry on and carry on and carry on. But luckily it didn't work that way. So I had the first winner at Cheltenham. There was only one betting race at Newmarket today, so I didn't have a choice here. So I just went into the first race, or only race, and it lost. So already the winner I had at Cheltenham has been taken away from Newmarket. And then at Kempton tonight we had 4 races, and this is the example that I sort of mean. I'm not going to stop when I've drawn £46.40. Maybe I should, who knows? But we had the first 2 losers. So basically, when you have the first 2 losers, you've got to have 3 winners. Alright, stop. So we nearly got our money back in the 8 o'clock. And then the 8:30, we won the last race. But again, if you look here, we staked 200. The loss came from Kempton. But if you have more than 4 races to get to that win that you need, then you would stop if you were 1 in front. I used to do other the same. I'm not going to change the system with the way I pick the horses, but what I used to do sometime going back into an early stage, I would go out to win £10. So I'd go £10 on the first one. If that lost, I'd go 20, 40, 80, 160, 320. And that would be my maximum. But if you didn't have a winner in 6 races, you would lose £630. And as you're only winning £10 a race, you would have to then go to 63 without loss to get your money back, which I have done. I think over about a 3 or 4 month period, I only had 2 that lost the whole meeting. So you can do that and you can get back in front, but it's a horrible loss if you get it early on, because you have to really fight to get it. And if you're doing 3 separate meetings, you can't back across the cards. And the reason I say that, let's say we would have started at the 1350, the 150 at Newmarket today. Let's say a horse spread a plate or did anything at the start, wouldn't go in the stalls, and for some reason that race didn't go off until, let's say it was 2:05, and the Cheltenham race is at 2:05 as well. You haven't got time to either see that you've lost here or won, to see what your stake's going to be in the Cheltenham race. And if you're going to be backing 6, 7 horses in it, you haven't got time to go across the cards to bet. So you have to go down the cards. So if you're going to think of laying out 10, 20, 40, 80, 160, 320, it's all right doing it at Cheltenham. But if you're doing that at Newmarket and you're doing it at Kempton, you need £1,800, nearly £1,900 just in them 3 meetings. And it's all right if you win the first race at Newmarket and you win the first race at Kempton and you think, that's handy, I've got £20 there, and then you lose here for 4 races, then it's all going to get in a bit of a mess. So that system I sort of binned. I didn't bin it quickly, but it was one that I binned. And today even, you go to Kempton here, there's only so many races you're betting in, so you can easily bring up a loss. So it's taken me a week. All right, we've made money in that week, so I'm not going to knock it. But I do want to keep looking at something that I can make a profit on and not lose too much. I'm not worried about the losses, but as long as we get them to a set amount. As I said, if I can make £150 per day, and then when I get a lose, stop at 3 loses down. Oh no, that'll be the maximum loss that I can take. So I may go down that road tomorrow, but I will post my selections up very soon after this video. So we'll have a look at our races today. This was the first race at Cheltenham, the 205. We gave Doyen Quest, which was our second selection. And considering there was 15 runners, 3 of our 4 were quite short in that respect, and that's all we managed to be able to back in that race. But again, that was another good winner. Left It Late came through. That was the Skeltons again. But then when we go into the 240, now I didn't bother doing all that, but the winner there was, I didn't even bother putting these down, but I can't remember. Oh yeah, that was it. In Excelsius Dio. So the 5th selection out of 12. Maybe you could have backed that, I don't know. Hymac won this one right down the field. Couldn't have backed that if I tried. Then in this race, Zane Knights, good ride that was by Bryony Frost. Took that to the start, you know, from flight 1 she led all the way in a really, really tough race. I had Harbour Lake there when I was at number 1 selection, that came second. And then moving into the 425, I'm sure this was fixed, but Man of the People came through and won this, but looked like to me he was left alone. No one was ever going to challenge him. And then after the race, he said to everybody beforehand that he was going to retire. So I looked at Stumptown that I backed, or would have backed as my number 1 selection, and Some Scope. These were up there. Everybody seemed to be not trying. I could see it on the way round. No one was trying that much. And then it was a case of they were all coming towards the end, but never going to close enough to win. So no one knew in advance he was going to retire, just the jockeys. So I had a feeling that they sort of let him win that. This did go through my mind before the race, you know, when it was halfway round. So that was one that I thought was a little bit suspect. And then in the 5 o'clock conditional jockeys here, our champ went out in front. You thought that was going to win, but it didn't. And I'm just trying to see who did win that. Oh yeah, Tin Tin Tin. Even though I put Tim Tim Tim, I think. Just change that. Yeah, so that most probably wouldn't have been our best selection either. So if we was to just go back to the first race there, this is what we got to look at doing. We got to just look at winning at the meeting. And as I said, to do the doubling up system is very dangerous. It's not something that I want to do. I'm happy with my selections that I give. You know, whether you just wanted to bet singly on the top 2 of each race, because that is showing a profit, because we're having some big winners in that. So that was Cheltenham. Then I only had one at Newmarket, and I don't really like this where I've only got 11 selections in 3 meetings, but it's the time it's taking me to do them, and it doesn't leave me time to do anything else during the day. So this is why I've narrowed this down, but I think I'm doing it wrong. I shouldn't be narrowing it down. And we only had 1 bet in this race. Let's say 1 bet. We only had this race at Newmarket. There was other races that I could have done. You know, there was horses that had run twice or once at least. I could have put those races in. And it's not good for you when you come and look at your tips here and you think, well, what's John given in that race? And I haven't given anything. But it's just the time factors. I've been through this with a few members and stuff. But of course, they just say, well, at the end of the day, they're there for their profit, like I am. That's the whole point of it. So we had only one race at Newmarket, and it lost. So as I said just a bit earlier, so the winner that I had at Cheltenham has now counteracted that one, and now we're back to level. But when I went through this yesterday, this Cheltenham meeting, there were so many runners in these races that took me nearly 3 hours of hard work to get all that on a spreadsheet. So I don't think sometimes people realise how long it takes just to get one race up there. So perhaps I need to do more races, perhaps I need to do less runners. Perhaps I need to get down to, say, 14 maximum. And the reason I say that is because some of these tracks like Lingfield on the all-weather, Kempton, even Dundalk and Newcastle, I think their maximum is around 14. So I think that's what I should be doing. But then we get down to these races where I was doing the odds-on ones, and then we're talking about 3 and 4 horse races. So it's got to be a medium somewhere if I'm going to change that part of it. But I'm happy with starting at the top and working down in the Dutching system, because I do have more winners than I have losers. It is being a little bit different for this April, I've got to be honest. I don't blame the ground, I don't blame anything. I mean, when I watched the racing today, it was the same headwind, tailwind, everything you name. When their selection didn't win on the TV, they were blaming it on something. Or they go, my horse is carrying £1 more when it raced against it last time. And you think the horse wouldn't even know what a pound of sugar looked like. If you put that on its back, it wouldn't even feel it. So it's just ridiculous, a lot of this. Anyway, so that brought us up to date with Newmarket and Cheltenham. So we had 1-0 now. And then coming into the last 4 races, this one, I can bring out all the systems really, but this one would have been my first one of the day at Kempton that was a value bet. And I only had it to finish 5th, and it won at 50. But of course, when you've got even the one I haven't backed underneath here, I've got the first 3 in the betting in the first 4 selections. So you're never going to get down to that 5th one. But again, I do like the value system, but they don't win every day. None of your systems that you combine win every day. Even the lay bets, you can get stung on that as well. Not all these are going to win, but that wouldn't have been a losing lay bet, I might add. So that was our first loser at Kempton, and then we went into the second race. Unlucky White Mist. I thought that was going to win, but I had the second and the third, but the winner, this was 12.92, Tayala, another one that I couldn't have backed. It was quite a long way down that, so I would never have backed that one. Then we moved into the 8 o'clock. Now I did have a lot of chances in this. I had 6 against the field. But this was most probably, if you were going to change the system slightly, Sir Galahad I had to finish last. This was actually quite a short price favourite really, 2.83 for this kind of a handicap. But the second favourite had won it, and I was lucky really that it was so far down here that I just about managed to have that. And that got back £46 something, so that was nearly my money back. And I had so many chances. And then moving into the last race, again had quite a few chances here. 11 horse handicap, and the winner, the second and the third were my third, fourth and fifth selections, and they were quite big prices, some of those. But again, there was no value bet that came up, but it was a 9.53 winner. But as I said, what I don't like about this is I'm dropping too many races, but I'm only doing that because I say I don't have time. It's not that I don't have time, because I do have time, but it takes so long to do them. So it's either I need to cut back somewhere, and of course the ones that you cut back on are the ones that normally win. Like if you looked at one of the big races today, I think two of those that I decided not to do were winners. And these were at Newmarket. But of course, there's losers that go in with that as well. I could have well had about 18 betting races, but another 7 of those races that I would do would take me in the region of maybe another 2.5 hours to add to what I'd already done. So you can say to yourself, well, let's not do National Hunt. Let's just keep it now to the flat. I don't know what to do at the moment, and that is the only thing that's letting me down. I'm not worried about the winners and losers. They'll all take care of themselves. But you need to be betting. I think you need to be betting in every possible race of the day, but time doesn't allow for it. So we're gonna. If anyone's got any ideas, just send them across. It's not the winners and losers that I'm worried about, because I know I will eventually profit on that. But it's whether we should knock it down to just a principal meeting of the day. There's a lot of things that it can be, but when we look back at these results, we see that there's always a bad meeting at some point. I mean, let's just quickly look. Let's go back into this. There's always a bad meeting. If you looked at today, for instance, well, I didn't work them out, so let's not worry about that. But let's go back to yesterday. All right. Luckily, I stopped when I did. But if we'd have said, right, we'll just do Newcastle on the all-weather, we would have lost heavy. And if we would have just done Newmarket, we would have won well. So all that happened at Newmarket and Newcastle, if we would have combined them together, they would have just levelled out. But because all my winners came early afternoon, it was a time to cash out and not worry about Newcastle. But if I'd have carried on, that £200 would have been whittled away to 27. Still would have been a profit, but not a lot. Then the day before, this was a meeting where we did go through, and Kelso in the last race there just about got my money back. Yeah, you can say, right, take the National Hunt out, but it doesn't always work like that. And then we go back to the 14th. Again, Hereford, yes, it was a National Hunt meeting, but that one was no good. But here, this was not the greatest of days I had over the weekend, but it seems to be the weekends at the moment where I'm doing the most races, where I'm getting the most losses. You go back to Saturday, Chelmsford, one winner, but don't forget, I think this was the day I did the value bet, so I suppose you are going to have more losers. And then I only had one winner at Aintree, and that was just Yarmouth. Everyone lost. So there's a lot that's not happening the way it should be at the moment. Aintree, this was another value meeting. You will get less winners at a value meeting, but it doesn't mean that you won't make a good profit. This day was obviously really good for value, but maybe you're only going to get one of those every 4 or 5 days. and then working our way back again. That was a good day. And then again, it was Hereford that let us down. That's let us down twice in a week. That. And that day, have a look there, minus £369. You wouldn't see that to look at that, because there was quite a few draws there. I think this was the day where, you know, these part ones that cost you, even though you do get some draws, they still cost you. You need the full money back. So anyway, that's just looking back over a period there. And tomorrow we will look at that. But yeah, if anyone's got any sort of ideas on just the system itself, how to stake, I do go through a lot of these staking plans. But we'll look at playing again tomorrow. But as I said, if you take this over the last 7 days, and I can go back further than that, obviously, but just over these last 7 days, we have made a profit of £226.20, and that is me changing everything day by day. So I don't have a problem because I've made a profit. And I don't have a problem with 3 days where they were losses of under £100, because when they've been profit, they've been well over that. So I've done something right in that period, which I've changed from the losses. If you look at the losses that we've had on the 8th, the 6th, the 4th, the 2nd and the 1st going backwards, all those are in 3 figures. The last 3 days from 4 that we've lost there have all been under 100. But again, we're on this where we've only had 1 profit in day in 5. So as I said, I'm now laying out less, so I'm doing something wrong because we've only had 1 profit in day. Yes, okay. It's still amounted to all them 3 lost days, and it hasn't shown a loss. But I've done a full load of selections for tomorrow anyway, so we'll go into that video next, and then we'll see what we can get from tomorrow's and the way I'm going to play it. But that's the result show finished for one night. Me blabbering on as usual, but worse than ever, I think, on this one. So we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see how we get on. Happy punting.